Today is March 20th, 2020. Okay, I'm stealing Allie Merwin's title for this, and we're just gonna call this the Corona Chronicles from this point forward. So, it's another day. Things haven't gotten any better. It is 8:18 a.m. I'm laying in bed in my beautiful new apartment. And I just read the headline, but because I have no cell coverage, I can't actually read the article right now. But the shelter in place has been expanded to the whole state of California, not just the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm guessing, obviously things are getting worse, but I wondered, why was San Francisco chosen to do shelter in place days prior? I'm guessing there was either an influx or a pocket of a high amount of cases just in that area, and they were trying to prevent the spread. I don't know. I don't work for the CDC. And that kind of made me remember, I don't know what grade I was in high school, but I remember I wanted to become an immunologist. Not even pronouncing that right because my allergies are acting up. But in that moment I really wanted to do it, and I thought it was so interesting to be able to track progression of diseases and try to find cures and all these things. And now that I'm sitting here thinking, my thoughts have no rhyme or reason, so one thing leads to another. Jen was in here yesterday, and we had an interesting conversation. And she's religious. I don't know, I've been not questioning it. Well, yeah, questioning it would be the right term, but I don't know, there's just certain things that have been said to me in the past couple months that have resonated with me. And from a social standpoint, the only reason that I'm not religious is because I wasn't raised in faith. And it makes me wonder, if I was, I would probably be religious. And I was always raised with the power of choice. So just because I may have been raised in one faith doesn't mean that I can't or wouldn't find another one as an adult. But we were having a conversation, and she brought up that, her and her prayer group are in all agreement that this is basically God pressing the reset button. And hearing that statement shocked me to the core. Not in a bad way, just hit me on a different level. And she went on to explain what's going on with the virus is actually setting up our society for success. And I don't know what it is about Jen that she has a way with words, and it's not in a bad way. It's not like she's full of herself or conceited or is one of those people that just loves to hear herself talk because she thinks she's, you know, has all this self-importance. No, like, it's just who she is, and she has a way of giving whoever she's speaking to, like, a sense of clarity. And it's not like she's trying to, like, we're having everyday basic conversations, and it's like every single conversation where it's something of like an in-depth topic. Every conversation I've had with her since I met her has been resonating with me. I don't know. So back to the reset button. Setting up our society for success. Why? Because first off, we've had all these technological advances in the works for years, but we just haven't gotten to the point where we can make them available to the public, I think is the best way to say it. And, you know, our school system has drastically been going downhill for years now. And, you know, I like to sit here and be like, oh, I'm young, but I'm also old school, because I was part of that time where I was in between generations, where when I was a child, I still played outside, and, you know, it wasn't all about just an electronic device. But then as a teenager, it started to transition into that towards the end, into my adulthood. So I kind of got a taste of both. And the generations of today have no idea what it was prior to having a device in your hand. So education has definitely gone downhill. And, you know, there's like these two camps where it's one that praises online learning for multiple reasons. One, the cost, the time, and just your overall, like, how do I explain it? When I was going to high school, the reason for online learning back then, or virtual school, or virtual high school, was two things. One, you would do it because you were being severely bullied at school. Or two, you messed up and you failed some classes and you had to make it up. And I remember begging my aunt to let me do online school. I had two very important reasons. One, I was being bullied. And two, I had the smarts and the drive to push myself through school. And if I was given the option to graduate early, I would take it, even though in retrospect I was stupid and didn't take the option to graduate early from Gateway, but that's neither here nor there. But I would have done virtual school, graduated probably at 16, and went off to college. And with the way just our student loan system, like, and like, if I'm going to sit here and like tick off regrets, education's a big one, because we live in a society where everything is on a time track. You know, you have to be in college when you're 18, straight out of high school, and you have to finish within the 4 years. If you're not, you're an absolute failure and you're a disappointment to your family. Like, that was me. You know, they coined me the professional student. And yeah, I could go, haha, professional student. But it hurt so much because they weren't me and they didn't know the struggle that I went through. And I'll sit here and be like, sometimes, yeah, it was because I wanted to be lazy. But the reason I was lazy was because my needs weren't being met. And I think that's most people, and most people don't want to voice that. Society will sit there and say, oh, you're just making an excuse. And now we're in a situation with this virus where there are no choices. You have to do online school. We can't have physical contact. And I asked Jen, do you think, let's say after all of this and we get to a point where we can be part of society in what we quote a normal way again, do you think families will want to keep their kids in an online environment because they realize, hey, it meets this, this, and this? And she, without skipping a beat, was like, absolutely. I've been trying to put my son into online school for years because, and she mentioned the school system going downhill, but in one in particular, she mentioned that, you know, for her son, she asked him, you know, why are you struggling in your classes? And he told her, the teacher doesn't go over the material, and when I have questions, she doesn't answer them. She'll only answer a question once and she'll move on, and her answer when you are not understanding is, oh, get a tutor. Like, not every family can afford a tutor, number one. Number two, you're in the class for a reason. I'm not saying, stop class for 40 minutes until he absolutely gets it. But, I mean, you can at least tell him, okay, after class, you can come and we can discuss it. And yeah, that's it. That's it. And you could take literally 5 minutes without everyone to explain a concept until he probably would get it and he would be better off. But with the education system, our teachers are overworked. They are underpaid disgustingly. And I remember even when I was a student in high school, people praised the education from up north because we were literally 3 years ahead of Florida. But I remember that, we have a curriculum every single year that's been school since it's probably been created. There's a curriculum you have to follow. And I remember we would never, ever get to the end of what was set for that year. We just couldn't. And I think nowadays, with it being so bad, with teachers getting literally shafted, there is no motivation, there is no drive for them to reach as far as they can with the curriculum that's set for that year. And when you don't have motivation, like, how can you teach others? Like, you as a teacher are supposed to be motivating your students, but you don't have motivation for yourself as a teacher. I don't get it. Like, and it shows. It's not only like low test grades and I don't know what else, but that comment from her son makes sense, and it's sad. And now he'll go into online school, and whatever he was probably struggling with, he's gonna understand in record time, and he's probably gonna be ahead of his peers by the end of this virus track. Like, parents that were questioning whether or not to put their kids in online school for whatever the reasons were are now forced to do so. And maybe that's a good thing. You know, and I know I got sidetracked on the education thing, but again, thoughts have no rhyme or reason. But again, setting up society for success. Jen said maybe this is going to be the way of the future is online schooling. And it's going to create a better education system. Children are going to learn more on time and have their needs met, even though it's behind a computer screen and a keyboard. And it'll make education possibly even cheaper, therefore leading to maybe finally free college tuition, because we would be doing it online. Like, and all this stuff was just like hitting me to my core. And you know, she said, you know, God should always come first, and he hasn't for a very long time. So now he's pressing the reset button. And even though things are crazy and looking bad right now, in the end, it's going to be good, because people are going to learn all these lessons. How they should be interacting with people. How they should be caring about other people before themselves. And businesses doing it for their consumers versus themselves. Because she went on to go into this, not tangent, but this part of the conversation where she talked about businesses and politicians being greedy. And they have been for a very long time. And that has driven decisions to be made that has led to a lot of horrible, horrible things. And now, if there is an entity up there that is pulling the strings and making these big, big choices for us, it's about time a reset button was pushed. And if I'm going to think about him as an entity or person that does care about our well-being, because he has put in the love to create us, I'd want to say he knew the reset button had to be pushed, but he tried to stave off for as long as he possibly could, because he had the hope that we would do it ourselves and be the beings that he wanted us to be from the very beginning. He tried to not press the button and really hope and plead that we would do it, and we didn't. So now he's basically laying down the hammer and being like, well, you guys didn't do it, so I have to step in now and do it, and I have to do it in such a way that there is no baby steps and coax you into this, because I've been trying to do baby steps and coax you into it and you still didn't do it. So I have to do something that's gonna do it in one fell swoop. It may not seem like I'm doing it in one fell swoop, but things I have done have led to this. But now it's like having to go to the failsafe. Basically, like, he had to take the axe and break the glass to pull a fire alarm. Like, that's honestly how I feel. And I'm not even religious, but that's how I feel. And good things are going to come of this. Yes, people have lost their lives. Families have lost loved ones. But there's casualties in war. And again, if there's an entity up there that has our best interest and we did not listen, no matter how much he pleaded and hoped and wanted us to make the changes, well, he is in war with us, and there's casualties in war. That is it. And sidebar, I went out with Naisha to Walmart yesterday because I've gotten to the point where I'm trying not to get nervous, not to get anxious, because I know how my anxiety is and I need to be calm, or I'm going to make myself physically sick over this. But I needed peace of mind to know if we went into a shelter in place that I had food, just in case APD was like, no, caregivers can't go. Caregivers can only go to 24-hour care. Or not at all. I needed to make sure I had food. So I went. I could have ordered it online. But EBT cards can't be used online. And which is a whole other thing in itself, which I think they should change, especially now that we're in this situation. But Naisha was saying something on the way to Walmart. She goes, you can use your EBT card online. Amazon lets you. Other stores let you. And I didn't show the shock, but in my head, I was jaw-slacked. Because I have been searching left and right for online grocers to use EBT cards, because I am disabled, and at one point I did not have caregivers and could not leave my home. And I would have to use the Walmart grocery delivery, which was amazing, but I had to pay out of pocket for it. And now you're telling me we can use the EBT cards. So I don't know if it was something that went into effect prior to the virus, or it went into effect because of the virus. And right now, it doesn't even matter, because I do not have cell coverage in this apartment or internet access. But I went, and I put myself at risk. And right now, I have a sore throat and a runny nose, and I'm trying not to let my anxiety concoct something in my head to convince me that you'd expose yourself. You may have something now. So I'm just going to keep telling myself it's allergies. and that's it. And you know what the symptoms are, and one of the major symptoms is fever, and you don't have a fever, so it's allergies. But I was telling Lou this late into the morning that the only way I could describe being in that Walmart was eerie. It was absolutely eerie. It wasn't scary. It wasn't weird. It was eerie. Like, I felt like I was in a fanfic, an AU fanfic of planet Earth. That's what it felt like. Nobody was running around like pandemonium or anything. Not all the it wasn't like all the shelves were completely empty. Some were. Most of them were sparse, but not completely empty. And while we were there, they made an announcement that they got a shipment of water, baby wipes, bleach, and bread. And that we had to go to the sporting goods aisle and retrieve those items if we needed to. One person per item, and they hand them to you. And I got in the line, and I made the decision that I wasn't gonna get baby wipes because I'm fortunate that I buy my baby wipes in bulk because it makes it easier for me to clean myself. So I have a supply to get me through some time if need be. There's no toilet paper because the world bought out all of the toilet paper. No joke. Even before we got to this point, which I think was a little ridiculous, to be honest. So I only have 3 rolls of toilet paper, including the one that is on my holder right now. Not getting worried. Because worst comes to worst, you just take a freaking shower and you wipe yourself with a towel and you dump the towel in the wash. You don't need paper that actually costs money to wipe your butt. But you know, it was just eerie being in there. Like, I've always been one to observe people and always be in my head, like really be in my head and create these fantastical worlds on the spot for the stranger that is walking in aisle 7 with me. That is how I always been. And I remember one aide in middle school telling me when I divulged that to her, it was literally, we were doing something we had to do in the auditorium, and they were doing some kind of like thing, but because of the microphones and the speakers, my hyperacusis was acting up. I didn't know I had hyperacusis at the time. And it was the worst it's ever been, and I had a panic attack. And I told her about the sounds, and I also told her about the fact that for the longest time, like, I talk out loud to myself, even though no one's in the room. That's how I always been. Talking out my thoughts, talking out the stories and the worlds I'd create, and what would be considered like imaginary friends. But that lasted well into adulthood. It wasn't until I got with Lewis that I forced myself to stop. And because I didn't want to be like weird. So I stopped, and I would only do it when I was under high amounts of stress and I was by myself. So if a shrink was sitting here right now, they'd be like, oh, that was your coping mechanism to get through your anxiety, which is fine. Anyway, I told her that, and she goes, that is the universe telling you you should become a writer. And I've never done it. I had my stint in fanfic, but I've never posted. And yeah, I don't even know where that was going, but
again, back to the whole, like, creating worlds for complete strangers walking alongside you on the sidewalk. Yeah, that's where that came from. Just, it's like a Netflix original, and it is so crazy, and I'm just happy to be in my apartment, to be in a space where I can wheel around and feel comfortable and safe in my own space. I don't have to sleep with my headphones. They've been hooked up on the hook on the bookshelf next to my bed since I unpacked them, and they have not moved. And I've been able to sleep soundly. And I have natural light coming through actual windows, and it's not harsh in the morning. It actually makes you want to wake up without an alarm. And it is beautiful. And I am happy here. And I didn't realize how unhappy I was where I was living. And it took me until today to realize how to position my freaking pillows to properly support my neck and spine. And I thought about it, and it's the reason I haven't really tried was because I didn't see the point when I was in that space. And it is amazing how an environment and lighting can affect your mood and your mental state. So I don't know where this is going. It is probably close to 9 something, and Tarina is supposed to be here at 10. So I may just go outside to do these like Amazon orders, or ask Christine to let me come in the office to use the internet. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. And this whole thing is crazy with the internet and my cell phone coverage, and I want things to not necessarily go back to normal, but I want to start working and bringing in an income so I can just get a new phone altogether. And I could start the Whippet thing because I sent my credentials to Devin the other day and he did get back to me, but with all the craziness, he wants to wait before I submit my application in Tallahassee, so we're going to touch base in a month. So he seems like it's needed. And Ray has been getting emails. I didn't realize Ray, I guess, oversees all 3,000 of us in the whole country. So he was getting emails from all different states about how we're supposed to access BPQIs with the offices being closed. Well, the offices are closed to the public, so they're still there as of now, sending documents as needed. So yeah, I just got certified, but I am needed. So I'm pretty sure once we get my stuff from Tallahassee, I'll be doing stuff already, because there is no training, coaxing baby steps with Sarah anymore. We're in like a world crisis, and Whippus still has to keep going regardless. So yeah, jobs are in the works. MWFL went on, not pause, I still have to do things just on a virtual level now, and I can't because I have no internet, and I'm a little stressed out over that, but there's really nothing I could do. I really want my internet because I could be killing it now with the YouTube channel and MWFL and just me as a disability advocate, but I can't do anything if I'm in 1X, and it's driving me crazy. So they should be here on Tuesday because they're dealing with all the kids that need internet by Monday to go to school. And I tried, and someone escalated the ticket, but because I couldn't get calls, they couldn't schedule me even if there were no slots, because I was on hold afterwards for an hour to be told that there were still no slots, which pissed me off like no other. But I had to take a step back and be like, okay, there's other people that are more important than me right now, even though I am disabled and I need open lines of communication to communicate with emergency personnel and caregivers, which in itself made me realize that I have PTSD over what happened to me with the injury, and having to deal with that all by myself, and calling paramedics and needing all my communication lines open to communicate with family and friends to make sure that, hey, I'm still conscious. Like, when you have nothing to do and you don't have your normal schedule anymore, a lot of things start coming to the surface. And maybe that's a good thing. So I'm gonna end it here. And hopefully all of this recorded. Okay, yes, it all recorded. All 35 minutes. Yay.